I'm just going to come out right out and say it. Bigfoot sightings are hoaxes and misidentifications. Sometimes, but not always. But unfortunately, hoaxes are something that the Bigfooting community has been dealing with for a long time. We've seen everything from guys stomping around the woods with footprint-shaped boards strapped to their feet, trying to imitate Bigfoot tracks, to 2 police officers in Georgia who took a rubber Halloween costume, stuffed it full of dead possum guts, froze it, and tried to pass it off as a Bigfoot body. Unfortunately, it's something we deal with, like I said. And it's a shame, because the sad reality is, every time there's a hoax, it hurts the credibility, if not only Bigfoot researchers, but of Bigfoot witnesses. It makes us look like a bunch of crackpots. Especially when it's not Bigfoot sightings that make the news. It's not reports that are very credible that make the headlines. It's the very hoaxes that make the news. That's what hurts us. That's what makes us look like a bunch of crackpots. But I'm here to say, the sad reality is, hoaxes and misidentifications make up a huge part of Bigfoot reports. Are there credible reports out there? Well, sure there are. I think there's a lot of credible reports and sightings out there. But some of them just seem incredible. And if they seem incredible, chances are it's a hoax. There's also misidentification, people seeing bears, other people. Sometimes it's their minds playing tricks on them. But today I just want to talk about the hoaxes. There's essentially 2 types of hoaxers. The first set is the ones that perpetrate the hoax with an attempt to fool not only the general public, but to fool Bigfoot researchers themselves, get one over on them. These hoaxes, sometimes they get away with it for a while, sometimes they don't. But the second set, that's the worst ones. That's the self-proclaimed Bigfoot researchers themselves perpetrate a hoax, often with the intentions of gaining fame, notoriety, and money. Now, you see a lot of that on television. You see a lot of that here on YouTube. You ain't going to see that on this channel. I promise you that. But that's the 2 types of hoaxes you get. Often, the ones perpetrated by the guys on television, the guys on YouTube, sometimes they don't even have a platform. They're just out there trying to create Bigfoot evidence. Trying to gain fame and notoriety, like I said. Those ones are usually the ones that are the most incredible. Because usually, if it's an individual trying to fool an investigator or the general public, their stories will be somewhat believable. But if you hear something, and I'm not going to make any examples on here right now, but if you hear something that just sounds too good to be true about a Bigfoot, that's probably that type of hoaxer perpetrating his hoax or her hoax in an attempt to gain fame, notoriety, subscribers, money. Who knows? What's wrong with a little prank, right? What's wrong with a little trying to hoax a Bigfoot investigator or trying to fool the general public into thinking you saw or have Bigfoot evidence? Well, a lot. Like I said, it hurts the credibility of witnesses, of researchers, but not only that, it fuels the fire of the skeptics. Now, there's nothing wrong with being skeptical. In fact, I'm married to a skeptic. She doesn't believe anything about a Bigfoot. I think she's a little bit open-minded to it, but not that much. And now, I will say, though, about her, she ticks all the boxes except for that. So it's proof that there is no such thing as a perfect woman. But anyway, it gives a skeptic something to go on. It always ends up being a hoax. That's what they say. Now, I guess that makes sense because, like I said earlier, it's the hoaxes that seem to make news. That's the ones you read about on the internet. That's the ones that every once in a while will make the TV. People claiming some off-the-wall crap that ends up being a hoax. They get found out, like the 2 police officers I mentioned earlier over in Georgia. That's what they did. They got caught. They ended up turning over that Bigfoot to an investigation team, and they found out it was, once it thawed out, it was frozen. Once it thawed out, this research organization figured out it was a rubber Halloween costume, a gorilla costume, stuffed with roadkill possums. But anyway, it hurts our credibility and our standing with people like that, and also with the scientific community. Now, that's important, is that we can get the trust of the scientific community if we want to prove these things are real. Because I want to prove they're real, not for my personal gain, for the gain of the Bigfoots. Now, I want to get them and their habitats protected. Now, I think the Bigfoots do a pretty good job of protecting themselves. I mean, now, think about the history and how many we've got, you know, our hands on. 0. But their habitats are slowly going away. And maybe in places like the Pacific Northwest, where there's, you know, vast forest, it's a longer period of time before their territory is gone. But here in the Southeast, people are buying up property quick, making subdivisions, putting in strip malls. We got to do something for these creatures. So if we can't convince the scientific community, because everyone's perpetrating these off-the-wall hoaxes, we're never going to accomplish anything. So hoaxes are just something we have to deal with. And hopefully researchers are smart enough to find out when there's a hoax being perpetrated. That's all we can do. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you don't see any evidence, you just hear a story. Now, lots of people tell lots of stories about lots of things. So, you know, there's no way of knowing, with all the information that's out there about a Bigfoot, that these people are telling the truth or just repeating sections of other people's stories. But like I said in a video yesterday, all you can do is get out here in the woods, try to find you a Bigfoot, try to find you a footprint, find something that gives yourself proof, and maybe it'll make you want to go out there and get these creatures protected too. Anyway, thanks for watching. I appreciate all the support we've had so far in this channel. I look forward to creating a lot more. Hope everyone has a great day.